So, Dave and Laura, thank you for being here with us. Could you tell us where you are? Where's your church?
We are in the south of Essex, just south of Chelmsford, which is the centre and the county seat, in Rayleigh, on the A127, which is the earliest ever trunk road built in the UK. That's our claim to fame.
That's trivia for you.
Wow, that's amazing. I thought you were going to give me the GPS coordinates then. I thought you were going to give me the GPS coordinates. And you're senior pastors there. So how long have you guys been there now?
We celebrate 17 years in about a month's time.
Wow, fantastic.
2003, yeah.
Brilliant. Well, thanks for doing this, guys. And I've got three questions I've been asking other friends and pastors. So, first one is about how we've on-ramped into this, because none of us were, it's not like we had amazing training for leading a church in a pandemic. Someone's going to write that course for church planting school for next year, won't they? Yeah, there'll be a module. So what have been the most helpful things to get you oriented and figure out where you're at?
Oh, most helpful things. I think we have been so fortunate in that we've had good team people. So church people who I would say actually were a little bit kind of on the edge have suddenly found their place, and particularly those techie guys. Yeah, they have stepped up and been amazing.
Yeah, about 5 years ago, we realised that the PA desk was a real hub of the church, and it attracted people that wouldn't actually maybe get engaged in other parts of church, like the coffee bar or ministry time. Wow. So guys that were probably maybe we would call Asperger's now kind of on the autistic scale. Yeah. They had something to gravitate towards, and so we just encouraged that. We threw a little bit of money at it, made sure that the technology was something that they could play with their gadgets, that kind of thing. Yeah. And that's come into its own during this, actually, because these guys have actually really clicked in and said, oh, we can do this, we can do that. Zoom can do this, and Zoom can go here. Yeah. That kind of thing,
Yeah. So that they have really stepped up, because we've always lent more into like the pastoral side of things. Technology is not our comfort zone at all. Yeah. And so we've been very guided by these people. I think very, very early on, we realised that we couldn't just take what we did on a Sunday morning and put it on the screen. And so we then talked about just keeping it really simple and placing high value on relationship with each other, connectedness with each other. So one of the things we did in the very first couple of days was we got, I think, 95% of the church into 7 or 8 different WhatsApp groups.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, WhatsApp's been a real godsend,
and that's been brilliant. And so there is then conversations, and they're people that are in relationship anyway. So they might be pastoral leaders, or they might be ministry area leaders, all that kind of stuff. And so they talk to each other, and then we were able to communicate to loads and loads of people just with a few messages. And that's been a really good link with each other. And then John Wright, early, I don't think it was the very first thing that he sent out, John and Debbie, but I think it was like the second or third one. And he talked about not bending into the comparisons of what other people are doing. And oh boy, I think that's such a danger, is that like the internet is the blessing and the curse of the age. in that there's been so many amazing things that are like right there at your fingertips, but also that danger of looking at other people thinking, oh, look at their service is so shiny, and look at that, it's brilliant, look at that, oh look, it's so slick. And I think John Wright talks about not comparing to other people. And one of our leaders texted us. We've had reasonable Sunday services online, and we've had a couple of total car crashes. And after one of them, I just texted him and said, "That's it, we're done. I quit." And he said, "Do you know what? my big brother has been texting me and trying to signpost me to all of these amazing, slick mega church services. Yeah. And he said, and I've ignored every single one. He said, because I just want community with the people that I love.
Yeah.
And he said, just seeing your faces, he said, even if you're upside down or your green screen is making your eyes look funny, you know, he said, it's just lovely to see and hear you. And actually, that was a really sweet thing. So
that's amazing. I love the way you said it. It's so true. It's a blessing and a curse. I had someone say that, you know, teaching on the internet now is just really a commodity. You can get the best teachers in the world whenever you want. People are clued up on that. Yeah. Actually, people don't want that from what we're doing. They want it to come away getting an experience of you. You know, what's that feel like you? Because that's what's different, isn't it, about our churches? Yeah. We found like
they want relationship.
We've carried on doing ministry times. Yeah. It's kind of strange. Bev and I sit there listening to the teaching, if it's us or someone else, and then trying to pray for prophetic words for people that we imagine would be in the church, and then imagine them, you know, and yet somehow people are, you know, in their lounges standing up, these prophetic words are impacting them, and then we're having live prayer in Zoom afterwards, and that's been one of the most fun things. You're like, God's amazing, isn't he? He's just like, he's got it, you know. Yeah, like you, I looked at those like 27-piece bands that are all put together in YouTube, and someone in our church goes, "Oh, that's amazing! Could we do that with our band?" Like, I don't think so.
And
without killing everyone.
We don't have our own venue, and we hire a venue, but we were given storage at our venue.
Yeah.
So everything we own is in storage.
Right.
So all of our PA, all of our mics, all of our mic stands.
Yeah.
So what we've done has been, you know, rough and ready, really simple, sitting in front of a screen with a Bible and a guitar and a cup of coffee.
And you've not had any complaints yet, yeah?
No, in fact, and anything the opposite. People have actually really talked to it. I think because people are looking for that contact, particularly the single people in church. They love that kind of contact. They can see you on screen, and it's kind of we've gone from kind of like flesh and blood pastors to kind of iconic overnight because they can see us on their telly, and we find that quite weird. But obviously they're getting a lot out of that because they can see somebody that they know, even if they can't reach out and touch them. They know that you're there, that you're still healthy, you still look the same you did 5 weeks ago. And suddenly they can actually identify with that, you know. So
I did. Sorry.
A lot more beards, yeah.
A lot more beards.
That's just the women.
Oh yeah, who said that to me? Someone in one of our groups we were meeting in. Oh, I was talking about COVID beards, and they were all growing, and one of the women in the group said, "If you see me with a beard, we've been in isolation far too long." My AV team, been doing so many recordings. I did one in the dark in my chair at an angle with a phone clipped to the side of a bookcase or something, sent it off to, you know, and then the team made an intervention with me, and I said, "Well, what's the matter?" They said, "Are you all right?" I said, "Yeah, I'm fine." What's the matter? They go, "We've had like 6 people contact us to say, is Jason all right?" And you watch the video, it looks like I'm in the dark about to top myself. So I've had remedial training. They've got me practicing, and then I had to send some videos to the team, and then I've been signed off as fit for purpose to do a recording. So I was like, oh gosh.
I didn't have an intervention over the internet though.
Oh, it was a Zoom call. I was like, I thought, who do they want to meet with me, Jason? Right. I was like, yeah, I'm fine. Why?
You don't look it.
We're all having a laugh. And then, of course, I know what they're doing. There's all these bits. They go, just record, and there's all the outtakes and all the bloopers and everything else. I'm like, I know they're storing them all up. They're
oh yeah, and they'll see next year. Yeah,
they'll be revenge. They'll be revenge.
Everything's being saved up to be used against me every time we're recording. So, second question then was, what's helping you look ahead to try and get your bearings for what's coming next? What's being the most helpful thing for you?
The most helpful thing.
I think with the internet, it's certainly actually whereas we saw it as a negative thing when we first started, it's suddenly shown us actually what could we do on a Sunday, you know, because now we're going out. We're doing a Zoom call, and then we're sending it out live on YouTube halfway through once the worship is over. suddenly thinking, could we do that on a Sunday morning? You know, when we go back to our venue.
Yeah.
So it's thinking it's about, you know, how can we? Because lots of people that connected with us are people who are stuck in their home, so they're single mums, or their husbands on shifts. They can't get to small groups. Suddenly think, oh, actually, we can do a small group in our house, you know, for those people in particular.
Yeah.
So it's allowed us to reach out even further pastorally to people who are who were isolated beforehand. So the isolation has come to the fore, and now we can actually connect with them over Zoom to do that, I think.
Yeah.
I think we're also looking forward to, but looking towards the fact that, you know, if they're saying that pubs and clubs are going to be the last thing that's going to be lifted from the lockdown, churches aren't going to be much long before that. So we're now thinking, okay, what would if the lockdown lifts to a certain extent, what would come through first? Would it be small groups? Yeah. Would it be kind of like, you know, get-togethers in the park? Would it be walks out on the seafront? It's certainly not going to be Sunday mornings for a while by the look of it. So what's that going to look like as a church, as to how we approach that come, you know, July, August, September, when people do want to see each other and, you know, be able to give each other a hug and that kind of thing. And then, you know, how does that look on a Sunday morning? Because even our church, which is about 150, that's not going to be allowed. That's not going to be first out the trap when it comes to lifting, you know, restrictions and stuff. So
one of the things we found as well is that that sense of community shock and stress, and just trying to help people process that and begin to talk to people about the fact that things won't go back to how they were.
What's the new normal?
That what is the new normal, and beginning to plan for that. So one of the things we've put in place, we've got a guy in our church who is a counsellor, but he is specially trained as a trauma counsellor. So he's done lots of work with the police in the last few years and that kind of stuff. And we had a conversation with him about, can we begin to put in some well-being and mental health stuff for people. So we are now doing like a daily dose online, where people and Facebook, where people can check in, and it's so we're not overloading people with stuff, because I think there is so much information out there, but it's just almost like a golden nugget of well-being or mental health that he has used. He's done it before, and he's helped people through trauma and shock. We've kind of leaned into him, and he's been enormously helpful, and he's kind of now just giving that as like a well-being thing for people that want to kind of plug into that, and then using that to then begin conversations of like, okay, so as we begin to plan for the future, it is going to look different, and how's that going to look, and how can we manage ourselves and then manage our community. So and one of the interesting things we've been able to do is that we've always leaned into working with other churches in the area, and the churches actually have been pretty nice to each other, and where the central government then devolved lots of responsibility down to local government, our local government officer kind of contacted our churches and said, can you work together and form like a community hub? And so we've been involved in that, and so where we've had to then phone vulnerable people in the community, we've been part of a group of churches that have been phoning that, and that's just kind of pressed into new relationships and new opportunities, but also better relationship with the local churches as well. So that's been a really, really interesting dynamic, that there's that kind of common need and that common purpose that people are now kind of really leaning into. So that's been a really interesting kind of thing as well, and just having connections with people who never would have come near a church. So
brilliant.
So that's been really good.
Thank you. So for the last question then I wanted to ask you was more, I mean, you may have touched on it already, but maybe pressing into the more personal. So what's been the hardest for you, something that's been hard for you personally, but something that you've been encouraged by, where you're seeing God at work?
I think the hard thing is that, the news changes day by day. So that spontaneous reaction is, for me personally, that's not a good thing, in that I don't react that quickly. I'm not kind of a crisis person. I'm more of kind of a thoughtful, wait and see where it lands kind of thing. So I found that quite difficult to get through to that. The decisions that I make as a pastor instantly, might have repercussions down the line. So I found that difficult to do that. Whereas you're a little bit more of a blue sky thinker, so you think a little bit quicker than I do, don't you? Is that fair to say?
Yeah. I think for me, the thing I found really tricky is that because I've always been bivocational, I'm still teaching, and some of that means I'm still actually having to physically go into the school because I'm teaching the key worker children. But when I'm not in school, I'm having to teach. I'm doing my homeschooling with my own children, our own children, but I'm also having to set up teaching online for the children I teach, and a lot of them are GCSE and A-level pupils, and they are genuinely suffering with shock where their exams were suddenly pulled out from underneath them, and having to negotiate that with them. And I think because everything is now online, and we're working remotely, it's that blurring of like, when am I at work? When am I not at work? Because emails, text messages, WhatsApp messages might come through at 11 o'clock at night, and that might be church or school, and there's no clear line of when things stop and start. So I think that kind of self-care of when do I stop and when do I draw the line, but also I want to be accessible for people because they can't see me. And that's a really weird grey area that I think I'm still feeling my way with. I don't think I've really cracked that. So
thank you.
I think from like a positive point of view, it does give you a different view of God completely. I mean, we've been looking at some of the kind of isolationist people in the Bible, like Jonah was in the belly of the whale, Moses was in the desert 40 years, Jesus in the wilderness, Joseph in prison, and kind of what they learned in those situations. So we've been doing a little bit of a series on that, talking about, what they learned in those situations. So that's been a real interesting thing about, even if we're kind of sitting here doing nothing, trying to, binge on Netflix, God isn't doing nothing. God, while we're waiting for lockdown to lift or whatever, go back to some kind of new normal, God is not inactive, and he's doing something all the time. So it's like do I need to know what he's doing? Do I just need to kind of sit and wait? Do I need to be silent? Do I need to be proactive and study my Bible? Do I need to talk to people? So it's a kind of like quite a challenge, in that we know that God's not inactive. And a lot of the things that we've done in church, well, we can only go certain distance with the technology and online. We're relying on God to then go the next step. And so a lot of our people have been contacting each other and saying, "No, get together, let's have a chat online," that kind of thing. So the networking has much increased in church. That's been a real blessing to us. Other people have been talking to each other, and prayer networks have started. Lots of spontaneous things, lots of spiritually led things that we've had no control over. They've just gone ahead and done, because we can foster and encourage a certain amount, but they've kind of taken that even further on and said, okay, how can I help other people in this? So it's been really good.
Brilliant.
I think we've seen. So I started a Zoom online Bible study, just like on a Tuesday morning, more so that there was something for people to do during the day if they were struggling or feeling isolated. And I've had people Zoom in from Australia, from South Africa, from Ireland, from Scotland. So that's been amazing. And obviously you have the technology to do that, which in normal circumstances you'd never have that. And I think we've seen a lot of our fringe people come in, reconnect, re-engage, find a purpose. So that's been quite exciting as well. So so there are definitely opportunities.
Well, thank you guys. That was amazing. Again, I was tapping away. I made loads of little notes. See, everyone I get to talk to, like, oh, that's a good idea. Things to get my wife to do. No, things. That That was brilliant. So thank you, guys. Thank you so much. May you be blessed in everything that you're doing. All right.
Oh, it's lovely to see you.
Take care, mate.
See you later.
Bye-bye.